Hi friends, in Planet Earth Dating, it's Sunday, July 25th, 2021. In both the Lynn Life and the Jimmy Body Mind, the authorized souls remain only child souls from the deeper, denser dimensions, and all other souls from all other dimensions. As long as the souls are already living by the many Search for Truth rules already given to the Search for Truth community by wiser minds above all of us. And it's crucial during these times when souls by and large are not following those rules. It's crucial for the host lives to hold fast to them, or we'll just sink into an abyss of not being curious about what's going on, and in an era where it's actually crucial to take helpful action.
That's true.
What now? What now? There's somebody who's talking and they feel like they're very sad, and it has the tone of like a funeral, and the person is talking about things as if there hadn't been anything that could be done, but you can feel that there were plenty of things that could have been done. And they're using that phrase that we really don't much care for. Oh, it was God's will. And people say things like that when they didn't do their jobs. Like if you would, for example, take the followers of Yeshua the Christ, commonly called Jesus, through some mispronunciation of his name, that the followers were supposed to step up and protect him from being killed so that he could continue to teach for 30 more years, the way the Buddha had been allowed to teach for a long period of time, and other spiritual leaders also, not just the Buddha. And he was supposed to teach for a long time, because certainly humanity needs some teaching. And we did back then also. And the followers didn't step up and protect him, and so he was murdered when he was not supposed to have been murdered. And then the followers were the ones left to tell the tale, and they just lied and said that that was how it was supposed to unfold. That's not how it was supposed to unfold, and that doesn't even make sense. That makes divinity sound stupid, and divinity isn't stupid, nor does divinity waste a resource like a life like that. What a master teacher. Divinity doesn't waste those resources.
That's right.
For him is the message, and why do you ask? So we don't want to listen to anybody who's acting like there's nothing that can be done, because there's things that can be done. And right now, really, mostly it revolves around just stopping doing the damaging things and cleaning up the mess we've made. They're talking about the Niger River Delta, where Chevron has 40-year-old pipes that are leaking really, really badly and poisoning the Niger River, which is a major source of food and water in that area.
That's right.
For all the species, not just humanity. And it's a poisoned oil slick river right now. And Chevron is just kind of refusing to clean it up.
That's right.
There are these women, fisherwomen, who they're just wonderful, and we have some quotes. There's another article about it being the women rather than the men who are trying to call the corrupt despoilers to account. And there's these fisherwomen. There's this one lady who says, "You want to kill us with your oil. We come to you so you can kill us yourselves in person." And that's what she's saying to Chevron after she and her friends climbed over the fence, and they were camping out in Chevron's yard, basically, saying, "You've got to stop it, you're poisoning our river." And she lives on a house, they say, on stilts, and I can see why they say it, but it's just a little bit raised from the boggy ground. She lives in a river delta, and you can tell because of that the river water table doesn't change a lot.
That's right.
Or the photo was taken at a high crest of river activity, we don't know. But it doesn't go much higher historically, or her house would be flooded.
That's right.
So everything is an oil slick. She's living in the middle of an oil slick, and so are the birds and the fish that they normally would be catching are dead because they're trying to breathe through an oil slick, and that's not working as well as you might think it would. Everything is dying, and it's because Chevron isn't cleaning up their mess. They've stopped pumping oil in that area, presumably because it's not financially sustainable or feasible. Right. And they're not cleaning up their mess. They just want to go away and leave the mess without cleaning it up. It's called decommissioning the pipelines. They need to decommission the pipelines. And they haven't done it, and they don't want to do it. And somehow the Chevron people convinced the men, the local men, that it was to the benefit of the local men to get the ladies to stop protesting. So the men asked the ladies to stop protesting, and the ladies stopped, but Chevron didn't do what they said they would do. Calciprise, which is an idiom meaning entirely predictably. And so here again we have women who are doing the job. First, the women are doing the fishing in the creeks and marshes in this part of the Niger Delta, and the women who do the work are also doing the work of trying to call the oil companies to account. And the men are they apparently are just looking for excuses to fight. And there's two clans who are wishing to fight with each other, using this as an excuse. And Chevron might be poking them with a stick to see if they can distract them with fighting amongst themselves. Possibly, we don't know. But we do know is that the men are just talking about fighting, and the women are doing the fishing and trying to get the polluters to stop polluting.
That's right.
For whom is the message? Why do you ask? They're talking about the women in Mexico who there are these Mexico apparently has deteriorated to a narco state, police narco state, which means drug cartels are in control of the government, and that's just what might be true based on our research. We don't know that for sure, but it seems that it's possible. And so there are a lot of people dead and missing in Mexico, as one might expect in a police narco state. And there are people who are trying to find the dead and missing people.
That's right.
And it's women, by and large, who are trying to find the dead and missing people. The men are just fighting. For whom is the message? And why do you ask? And there's another pipeline being rammed through indigenous territories in Minnesota this time. And it's women mostly who are standing up there also in their attempt to stop this from happening.
That's right.
For him is the message. Why do you ask? And not only women. We don't want to say there are no men, because there are some men, but there's a preponderance of women, and if men were going to be helpful in the effort, this would be a good time. And so if you're a man and you're listening to this or viewing it, please find an activism organization with roots in non-violent civil disobedience. Non-violence being crucial, or it's bad for you.
That's right.
Non-violent civil disobedience, and join the movement of standing up in front of nature against the oppressors, the despoilers of nature. It's go time. We're here right now. They're talking about the fire map. We found, we've been looking for fire maps that are functional. And the NOAA has hurricane maps. They also have fire maps. And unfortunately, it looks like it isn't just in North America where the fires are raging right now. And their maps are updated multiple times a day with satellites. That's where they get their data, satellites. And it looks like South America and Sub-Saharan Africa are on fire.
That's right.
The whole continent, when you back out enough, all the little fire circles overlap. And it just looks like South Africa's on fire, and South America is on fire, and large swaths of North America are on fire, and much of Europe, and much of Asia, and the coastal ring around Australia where it's not already desert. Basically, it's all on fire. And this is per the NOAA website, so if you want to complain about it, why don't you write the NOAA. They're talking about this Nigerian activist, this woman who went with her friends who are all fisherwomen, and they can't work because the river is poisoned with oil, with Chevron's oil. And so they went to Chevron's offices, and here's what she says about Chevron's offices. It's a very fantastic building with air conditioning, light 24 hours a day. Water comes out of the faucet. You don't have to go out to buy food. They have it right there. She's referring to a refrigerator. Mm-hmm. And they're getting the money for that from this place. Talking about her poisoned river. And we think that probably in the developed world, most of us expect for there to be access to electricity and running water.
That's right.
And that's what she's referring to. But if there are 2 million humans around the world, billion with B, who don't have access to a toilet, we found that statistic, then they probably don't have access to a refrigerator either, or air conditioning, or lights 24 hours a day, or running water coming out of a faucet.
That's right.
And the money for that is coming on the backs of the impoverished of all species. And if you think about who has money other than gopher tortoises, we don't know non-humans who have money by and large. Money is a human construct. Somebody's arguing with that. They say the spirit world sent in the idea of a medium of exchange, and that's what money is. It's just a medium of exchange.
That's true.
So we don't have to carry around chickens to barter with. For him is the message. Why do you ask? Now they're talking about how the souls in these 2 lives for the last couple weeks, they feel like high quality souls, but they don't want to see it. They shut their eyes.
That's right.
While like doing dangerous things.
Washing a knife in the sink.
Washing a knife in the sink.
Driving.
Right. Not good to close the eyes.
Not a good idea.
And often when we deconstruct what's been going on, there's a really scary thought that's bubbling up, an inconvenient truth, an inconvenient reality that's bubbling up, and the soul's reaction is, close it off, I don't want any more input, stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it. And they do this when driving cars and washing knives and whatnot. And so it's the body's job to stand up for safety and say, absolutely not, we're opening our eyes now, I'm sorry that you don't like it. But other than that, other than in times of safety, we're supposed to follow the soul instructions. And now they had us looking at our client list.
That's right.
Which we think would probably be a statistically valid sample size of people who have heard straight from their guardian angels what they're supposed to be doing. And as to the best of our knowledge, mostly they're not doing anything remotely like that. Unfortunately.
That's true.
And that's not to say that there aren't some exceptions to that, but for the most part, they're just arguing and doing what they're willing to do and pretending that those other things meant something different.
That's true.
And they're talking about a woman in Tanzania.
Yes.
And not to single her out, but she's one of many who insist that her angels said something different than what they said.
That's what they're talking
and that's not what her angel said. And it's recorded. We record the work, and so nope, play the recording.
That's right.
That's not what the recording said. And people really bending over backwards to not understand what their angels are saying or to deny what their angels are saying.
That's true.
Which is sad. Now what? Now what? They're talking about another client who has a particular assignment to work with another human being, and there are signals that the other human being seems to be developing alcoholism.
That's true.
Which, interestingly enough, plays also in the Tanzanian situation.
Yeah, right?
That's interesting.
That's interesting.
And nobody involved wants to deal with the reality of alcoholism.
That's right.
And it's a terrible disease. And it is a disease. And to deny diseases, that usually doesn't help to solve the disease.
No, that's true.
It's a terrible disease. And now what do? We have to get those people in rehab. We have to get them dried out.
That's right.
And we have to get them ongoing treatment. And the 12-step programs are the only known effective long-term ongoing treatment.
That's right.
And it's for life. It never goes away. The problem never goes away. And that's the reality.
That's
and
right.
You know, those people who want to argue with it, it's like, I'm afraid I have more bad news for you. Maybe they want to argue that we're all going to die.
Yeah.
Which is a common argument, by the way.
That's right.
So if that's a news flash, then I'm afraid I have more bad news for you. So it's go time, and it's go time for everybody who wants to think of themselves as a good person. And it's time to stop the destruction. And based on the fire maps, probably what's going to happen is that the spirit world's going to have to kick humanity back to pre-fire, which really stinks.
That's true.
But we don't seem to be willing to handle fire respectfully. And now it's the wildfires, because the fossil fuel emissions, because we're refusing to just stop. All we have to do is stop extracting oil and stop burning oil. There are plenty of solutions. We do not need it. We can generate power from wind turbines and from the sun and power everything with electricity. We do not need gas-powered anything, and we can just stop it. There are plenty of other things we can do that don't create carbon emissions. For him is the message. Why do you ask? And we have to also stop knocking down trees, and we have to stop destroying life, not only on land but also in water. We're creating deserts both on land and underwater.
That's true.
Dead zones where nothing grows, or very little grows. And in divinity's eyes, that's bad, not good.
That's right.
Divinity does not love only humans. Divinity loves all life, and everything is alive. And now what?